The Grammys are one of the most recognizable institutions in entertainment, a symbol of prestige, legacy, and musical excellence. But over time, something started to click with everyone, and things started to feel off. Think about the last time your favorite artist dropped a generational album, and everybody was talking about it. And you sit there genuinely wondering how. How did they lose? Well, here's the truth. You're not crazy, and you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to be taking a deep look into the Grammys, and how they choose their winners, why so many artists are coming out now, and what's really going on when the cameras are off. But to understand why the Grammys feel so disconnected to today's audience, we have to go back, and I mean all the way back to the beginning. Because the issues that we're seeing today, they didn't just happen. They were built deep into the foundation of the Music Academy. So before we talk about the controversies and the corruption, we need to understand how the Grammys actually work. Because once you see the structure, the outcome honestly just starts making sense. The Grammys began all the way back in 1957, but it wasn't until 1995 that we got our first R&B category. And rap wasn't treated like a real genre until 1996. That delay alone tells you a lot. Today, the Academy has around 11,000 voting members, but the process behind those votes is a lot more selective than people even realize. There are four steps to nomination selection. I'll get into that more later. Step 1. Submission and screening. So basically how submission and screening will work is that labels and artists will submit their music, and there will be an internal review on which categories these songs will go to if they are even qualified to be submitted. So there's no voting yet, it's just a screening and filtration process right now. Step 2 is the first round of voting. So the members of the Academy can vote up to 10 different categories, but they're only allowed to vote within 3 genre fields. All members are allowed to vote for the big 6. The entries with the most votes become the official nominees, and those are the nominations that we see in November. Step 3 is now like the final voting, where voters are told to ignore sales, streams, and cultural impact. They're supposed to vote only on merit. Whoever gets the most votes therefore wins. Step 4 is the results. How this works is that the ballots go to Deloitte and Touch. I hope I said that correctly. I might have said that wrong, but whatever. It's basically an independent accounting firm. They count up all the ballots and then they seal all the winners for the ceremony. The Academy now has 95 categories, but they're all decided by one thing, and that's peer voting, meaning that the people who are voting for these artists are people already in the industry. But who gets inside? And that's where we're going to go to membership breakdown. Okay, so there's 3 types of voting members. The first one is Grammy Youths. These are basically students in the music industry looking to progress their careers. The second type of member is professional members. Now, these are members that have a professional connection to the industry. Whether they're managers, executives, journalists, or even educators, these are people who are in the industry but not necessarily artists. The third type of members are voting members. Now, these are actually artists, songwriters, producers, engineers. These are people who make the music. But how does an artist become a voting member? So what an artist needs to become a voting member is at least 12 commercial credits and 2 letters of recommendation. Unless you've been nominated for Grammys in the past 5 years. Then you just automatically get in. And that's where the bigger question begins. This isn't just a voting system. It's a closed circle, and a very tight one at that. And once you see who's in the circle, the story begins to change. So when we're talking about the Grammys, it's easy to think of them as some faceless institution, but that's just not the case. We're talking about a specific group of people with a specific set of backgrounds who decide on what counts as music excellence. And understanding who those people are and who those people aren't is where the story really begins. On paper, everything seems structured, fair, even reasonable. But the moment you take a deeper look into the Academy, everything starts to shift. This is the part the Grammys don't want you to see, and I'm about to break it down for you, so get ready. At first, the accusations against the Grammys seem unbelievable. I mean, come on. Sexism, racial bias, elitism, and secret committees. I mean, they're just an award show. Like, realistically, how is that all gonna happen? But you'd be wrong. Because the deeper you look, the more undeniable it is. And the turning point came not that long ago in 2020. Let's break it down. In 2020, the Academy hired Deborah Dugan, a very important figure in this story, because she was a respected industry vet, and they made her the CEO of the Academy. However, within months, she was placed on administrative leave. And this only came after she gave us a bombshell of a complaint. She alleged what many artists have said for years. The Grammys were being manipulated from the inside. Her biggest accusation? The secret. committees. This was a secret group of insiders who had the override of votes. Basically, whatever the vote was, they could change it. Quick pause on what that means, and then we will get back into the controversies. When voters would finish the first round, the committees could step in, and then they would review the list given to them. And they would replace artists they didn't want with artists that they obviously did. There were artists who ranked 18 overall out of 20 and still made it to nomination. Okay, play. Dugan claimed that board members would often promote artists that they had individual ties to, making it a conflict of interest. But she didn't stop there. Dugan also told us that the Academy was protecting a toxic boys club full of harassment, retaliation, and discrimination, especially against women and women of color. Even as CEO, herself, she faced hostility from other members. But corruption isn't the only issue. The Grammys have had a long history of racial bias. I mean, if you take the big four categories themselves, the biggest awards of the night, only 11 black artists have ever won Album of the Year in the entire history of the Grammys. Year after year, black artists are put into boxes of categories like rap or urban, even when the music genre itself merges into pop culture or alternative. Like for example, Drake's Hotline Bling, a clear pop song that was placed into a rap category. Even Drake himself quoted on the topic, "That's the only place they can fit me." Then comes the infamous snubs at the Academy Awards show. 50 Cent not winning Album of the Year in 2003. Macklemore beating Kendrick Lamar on Best Rap Album of the Year. Maroon 5 winning Best New Artist over Kanye West as well. And then the boycotts started happening. One as big as The Weeknd when Blinding Lights didn't win a single award that year. The Weeknd gave us a quote, "The Grammys remain corrupt. You owe me, my fans, and the industry transparency." And honestly, I agree with him. Frank Ocean refused to submit some of his biggest albums like Blonde and Endless, calling the system dated and unrepresentative. Nicki Minaj even pointed out to us that she broke records, having 7 songs on charts at once and still lost Best New Artist to Bon Iver. Make it make sense. Even hip-hop's first Grammy moment was terribly mishandled. In 1989, the Grammys hosted its first ever rap category, but they refused to televise it and the shows around it. And this led Will Smith and DJ Jazzy Jeff, the two performers who were at the Grammys that night, to boycott the Grammys.
We boycotted the 1989 Grammy show.
I think it was just lack of knowledge.
Yeah, ignorance on the part of Naris. They don't know anything about rap music, and our boycott was to open their eyes to rap music.
Year after year, the Academy invites artists like The Weeknd and BTS, knowing full well they're not going to award them, but they bring them in for ratings, not recognition. These aren't isolated mistakes. It's a pattern, a system problem, and one that the Grammys have never fully answered for. And it leaves us all wondering one simple question. If the Grammys work, why do some of the biggest artists in the world want nothing to do with them? Everything that we've just covered leads us to our final part. Not just where the Grammys have failed, but where I believe there needs to be changes for the Grammys to survive in the future. After looking at how the Grammys claim their system works and the controversies surrounding it, one thing becomes clear. The problem isn't the artist, it's the institution. And here's my honest take. It's not 1957 anymore. Millions of people vote online every day. There's absolutely zero reason why the Grammys couldn't introduce something like this. A people's vote, almost. Not a deciding factor in the awards, but to show what the public actually thinks. Here's how it would work. Everybody would get 10 votes. 6 votes for the 6 general fields, 4 votes for any genre categories that you care about. It wouldn't control the results, but it would expose the gap of what the industry wants and what the fans actually support. The Academy wants to give awards to Beyonce, Taylor Swift, or Killer Mike. Fine. Just show us if the public co-signs it. Let people's voices exist somewhat in the process. And with that all in mind, here are my picks for categories that I care if we were actually allowed to vote. We should be allowed to vote. I don't know why we can't. Song of the Year, I think, needs to go to Sabrina Carpenter's Man-Child. It's just honestly had so much impact this year, and I've heard it everywhere. So not giving it to it kind of seems like a dig almost. And then Record of the Year, I believe, needs to go to Kendrick Lamar and SZA's Luther. Again, had such an impact this year. Heard it everywhere. It is a great song. I personally do enjoy this one. Album of the year, I believe, needs to go to Justin Bieber Swag. Best new artist needs to go to Leon Thomas. Best rap performance, I think, needs to go to Clips, Pusha T, and Malice, featuring Kendrick Lamar and Pharrell Williams, Chains and Whips. Best melodic rap performance definitely needs to go to JID, Ty Dolla $ign, and Black for Wholeheartedly. Honestly, this is a song that is extremely good in its category, and I don't know if it will win, but that would personally be my vote. I personally really enjoyed this song. Best rap song needs to go to Kendrick Lamar and Gunplay, TV Off. Dude, crazy lyrics, amazing bars, fantastic performance. Bringing underground rapper to the light is always a good thing. I'm all here for it, and I hope they win this category. Best rap album, I think personally should go to JID, God Does Like Ugly. I don't think he's gonna win, but that's where my vote would go if I was allowed to vote. Honestly, those are really the only categories I care about, so like, whatever to the rest of them. I didn't even need 10 votes, I only used 8. That wraps up everything. How the Grammys work on paper, and why the people's vote would finally bridge a gap between the industry and the fans that keep it alive. If you made it to the end, I honestly, wholeheartedly appreciate you more than you know. If you want to dive deeper into the dark side of the industry, check out this video right here, or here, I don't really know, on Diddy's extravagance over the industry, I guess. It explains everything that's happening right now. I was one of the first people to do it as well, kind of documentary style video. It explains the situation very clearly and exposes all the heinous things that he's done. And really, it's packed into 20 minutes. So if you don't want to watch a full documentary link style video and you just want all the cliff notes of everything that's happened, definitely go check that out. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. But with all that said, please subscribe, like, and drop a comment. It helps my channel more than you know. And check out my shorts for more music breakdowns and honestly just having fun on there. Thank you guys so much, and see you guys next time.